welcome to Walker Tea Review. Jason Walker here with more tea to share, to explore together, and to experience. So let's go ahead, get this together, see if this tea is one that is going to be on your wish list, for example, for this upcoming holiday season. It's a white tea, and I'll go ahead and tell you it's a type of white peony. I'll tell a little bit more about that. But because of this kind of tea, it can be pretty fluffy, bulky. So we're going to be adding a little bit more than usual to try to pull out a little bit more of its character here. That looks like a pretty good amount. It's covering the bottom, so I mean, the goal real here is really to make sure I don't see the bottom surface, the bottom inch to inch and a half diameter of my gaiwan here. Water's been brought to an early boil. I've let it cool a little bit more than usual. White teas are generally a little bit more delicate, but yet I don't want to go too easy on it. I try to be consistent across, white tea to white tea, especially like a BaiMuDan like this. So I stretched it a little bit. I pushed it a little bit beyond. A lot of tea companies will want you to use a very low temperature. Low temperatures generally cover up flaws in teas. High temperatures, if it's a good quality tea and you use a higher temperature water, it still should not be as bitter, as astringent. It may not be a level of bitterness or astringency that you prefer, yet it should still be, a higher quality will still have less bitterness and astringency than, say, a lower quality of the same kind of tea. That's what I'm getting at. So while this is steeping, I'm going to go ahead and kind of introduce. This is from Teavivre. It is a Teavivre, this is their BaiMuDan, which I mentioned. 50 grams, available for $3.70. And Teavivre gives some fairly detailed background information about their tea. They go ahead and tell you this is from the Taimu Mountain, which is near Fuding, which is in Fujian province in China. This area that's being referred to here is the kind of the traditional home or origin of BaiMuDan, aka white peony, and they even tell you the source of where they get their tea from. It's the Fujian Pinpingshan Tea Company, Tea Limited, or Tea Company. Yes, their website goes on to say that the Pinpingshan Tea Company has had awards associated, although it doesn't. I don't recall specific what awards for what teas, who was competing in that competition, that kind of aspect. But the indication that they're giving is that this has repeated. The Pinpingshan Tea Company, this particular type of tea, has consistently fairly good quality, but we'll have to determine if we can see that in this particular tea. So while that's steeping just a wee bit longer, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the dry leaf here. Okay, first off, I would say generally a nicer, fresher smell. It's got a greener, again, a gentle vegetable type smell, and this is compared to, let me go ahead and compare it to. Oftentimes, when I smell a BaiMuDan, it's a bit got more heat applied to it. It's a bit more mature smelling, and it comes across as a little bit of a starchy kind of a potato. There's a little bit of a starchy potato element. There can be a little bit of a dry straw kind of component. While this one, again, sweeter. There's a light floral fragrance there. So I'm getting like a meadow or a field of wild grasses growing in it. You maybe get a hint of clover, red clover, white clover, as the wind blows across that meadow, that field. So there's, again, that kind of sweetness there, that light, wild kind of floral flower type of smell, yet still herbaceous but mild, gentle. So that's a positive quality here. Pulling out some of these leaves. Let me see if I can grab a few here. to look at. What do we have? I'm looking for, one of the key components is I do not want to find silver needles by themselves. I want to find a silvery fuzzy tip connected to one, maybe two leaves. And so for the, let me see, okay, as I pull some out here, I do get separate needles or tips. Actually, I would say half of the needles, half of the tips are on their own. Okay, and then I do get some mature green leaves as well that are separate. And so that means that half of the silver needles are connected to a leaf, which is a positive. If it's a BaiMuDan that has all of its silver needles separate from the leaves, that could mean that the BaiMuDan was harvested. It didn't have enough silver needles to really make it valuable, so they did a subsequent harvest, or they took silver needles and tossed them into that harvest, into that batch, to try to boost the overall quality. This one looks like a significant portion are, like I said, still connected to a leaf, which indicates a more consistent or authentic harvest here. The leaves that are here are not brown. They do not look like they've had a lot of oxidation or aging taking place. They're a deep, rich green, as opposed to others that I've seen that have become more of a dull, darker, flatter, pale brown type color. Okay, which indicates more heat was applied, or that these in some cases some oxidation actually took place on those green leaves. Okay, so returning this, again, larger portions, fluffier leaves. A lot of these needles were an inch or more in length, which is also a good size, and of course the ones that are connected to other components, other leaves, that those connections make the whole piece portion that much longer, because you've got the needle plus more coming off the end there. So I'm going to move ahead now and go ahead and pour here. Angle my lid over to the side. There we go, fairly nice, fairly smooth pour there. Shake out those last few drops. Let that sit for a moment while I talk about this wet leaf now. Now, positive note in the dry leaf was it had less of a starchy note. It had more of a fresher, herby type of, like I said, that meadow type of smell, sweetness even to it. Now, what I find with in the wet leaf with some BaiMuDans, if they've been toasted too much, they get more of a cooked lima bean type of smell. This one, on the other hand, is a bit more greener. It's got a, how would I say, I guess I would characterize this as a lightly boiled, faint kale cabbage type component to it. And yet there's something else that's sweeter there. There's a lightly steamed fresh cucumber, so it does have a bit of a sweetness there. It's not an extravagant type of sweetness, but it's a subtle, cool, pleasant kind of sweetness there. Okay, looking at these leaves, are the needles have kind of loosened up. I'm pulling off a little bit of the bits of leaf that were stuck to the lid there, but there's a nice needle there. Another needle, good size, intact as well. Looking to find any kind of pairs or sets. Here's the needle with the tip broken off, and about half of a, or I'd say 2/3 of a leaf that's attached to it as well. Some browning on the leaf portion, indicating some oxidation, some bruising, or some damage may have been taken by that leaf. You get some other leaf portions here. rust color along the edges, indicating that yeah, a little oxidation may have taken place there as well. But most part delicate leaves, not overly thick or coarse, but larger leaves, larger than other, I would say, other than other tea leaves, say compared to some of your smaller leafed greens, because of the Teavivre, the big leaf varietal that's used here. So, moving on, I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about this liquor. Let me go to swirl. Hold it up to the light. Rich golden color. Some BaiMuDans have a bit of a paler color. This one's got a brighter gold type of color to it. Let me give it a pour and a taste here, smell. Again, a little bit of a hint, a bit more of the starchy component coming out, but still mostly sweet. Along with that meadow, now I'm picking up a bit more of the dandelion. If you had some fresh cut yellow dandelion flower, squeeze those in your hand, got a little bit of the juice, the nectar, say, of that dandelion flower. There's a little bit of that kind of sweetness coming out here. Looking down into the cup, again, not dull, but still rich, heavy color. One more try here. Starchiness in other BaiMuDans, white peonies, often comes with a drying type of feeling. Now there is generally white teas can have a bit of more of a drier, starchier type feel. This one has some of that, but I would say gentler than compared to some others. There's a sweetness also that's building up in the back. It started about in the middle of the palate. As you're still kind of slurping and swirling the tea, starting in the middle of your tongue, underneath, you start to, this sweet sensation starts to kind of build up, and then as you swallow into the aftertaste, it works its way from the back of the jaw here, and starts to move kind of towards the front of the mouth. So that's positive. The aftertaste is actually, for a white tea, fairly well sustained. I mean, it's fading off now, but there was, I would say, a good showing. In the front, I am getting an element of that dried grass. Not so much of a starchy potato, so that's a positive. Something about it just says a pale strawberry, maybe a lightly green strawberry that hasn't fully matured. So it's not rich, it's not juicy, it's not even that tart. It's got a little bit of a sweetness there, a bit of a kind of fleshy yet dull type of taste, and that's a little bit of what I'm feeling and getting here. You could also apply that to, it's that kind of feeling similar to, say, if you would steep some dandelion flower. I get a little bit of that in here as well. So when I put this, or look at all the elements of this tea, I would give this BaiMuDan, in comparison to other BaiMuDans, I'd say it's higher up there, in that it's got a nice greener, fresher component. If it's been those that are more toasted, that gives me an indication that they're covering up, or they're trying to have to boost the flavor through adding these heat toasted notes to it. This one's gentler, less heat. It had more of a natural character on its own. So I would give this tea a 91. Good positive components to it. Not the fullest, richest. I have had some that had a bit more of the meadow components to the actual taste than this one does. So come back to Walker Tea Review to find the right combination of all those components that you're looking for in a tea.